Let's talk about something every single one of us relies on: websites. Imagine a website keeps all its important stuff, your account, your data, in a secure stockroom. Now, what if the door to that room was just unlocked? That's pretty much what SQL injection is. It's one of the oldest and, scarily, one of the most common ways hackers get in, by walking right through that digital unlocked door.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll nail down exactly what we mean by SQL injection. Then we'll look at the real-world damage it can do. After that, we're going to see exactly how an attack works, from the simple stuff to the more advanced techniques. And finally, we'll talk about how to build a proper digital fortress to lock that door for good.
All right, so what is SQL injection, really? Well, every time you click something on a website, you're sending a little request to its database. These requests are called SQL queries. It's kind of like asking a clerk, hey, can you get me that sweater from the back? An SQL injection is when a hacker basically whispers in the clerk's ear and changes your order to get the sweater and also give me the keys to the cash register.
And why does this matter so much? Because when an attacker succeeds, it's not just some minor tech issue. The consequences can be absolutely catastrophic, not just for the company that got hacked, but for regular people like you and me.
A single successful attack can open a total floodgate of problems. We're talking attackers getting their hands on everything: personal info, passwords, credit card numbers. They can even install secret backdoors to just hang out in a company's systems, sometimes for months, completely undetected. For the company, this is a nightmare. It means their reputation is shot, and they could be facing massive fines.
And trust me, this is not just a theoretical threat. This exact method has been the go-to weapon in some of the biggest, most infamous data breaches we've ever seen. For cybercriminals, it's a tried and true way to cause a whole lot of damage.
So how in the world does an attacker actually do this? You might be surprised. The really scary part is that it often starts with a trick that looks incredibly simple.
Okay, picture this. You're on a shopping site, and you click on the Gifts category. Behind the scenes, the website sends this query to its database. It's basically just asking for all the products that are in the Gifts category and that have been officially released for sale. Totally normal, right?
But an attacker, they don't just type in gifts. They add a little something extra on the end. A single quote and 2 dashes. It honestly looks like a typo, nothing more. But what they've actually done is slip a tiny digital crowbar into the system. So what does that little piece of text actually do? It's genius, in a devious sort of way. In the SQL language, those 2 dashes mean ignore everything after this point. It's a comment. So that whole second part of the command, the part that checks if a product is actually released, the database just completely ignores it. And just like that, the website shows the attacker all the products in the gifts category, even the ones that were supposed to be hidden. Now, this same trick gets way, way scarier on a login page. An attacker types administrator dash into the username field. And just like before, it breaks the query. The system goes to find the administrator account. But that part of the code that's supposed to check the password, it gets commented out. It's ignored. The result? The attacker is in. They're logged in as an admin, and they never even had to type a password.
But just bypassing a filter or a login, that's really only scratching the surface. The skilled attackers, they don't just stop there. If the easy tricks don't work, they've got a whole bag of other more sophisticated techniques to try.
And get this, not all attacks are immediate. Sometimes an attacker will inject some malicious code that just sits there. It gets saved to the database and looks totally harmless. This is called a second-order injection. It's like a ticking time bomb. Days, maybe even weeks later, some other part of the site might use that stored data, and that's when the hidden attack finally triggers.
Their toolkit is huge. They can use things called union attacks to basically stitch together information from totally separate parts of the database, like, say, a list of products and a list of user passwords. If a website is really buttoned up and doesn't show any errors, they can try blind attacks, where they ask thousands of simple true or false questions to slowly, patiently leak data one tiny bit at a time. It is a massive arsenal, all designed to find any crack in the armor.
Okay, so this all sounds pretty bad, right? So what's the solution?
How do we actually defend against all this? How do we build that fortress and finally lock the door? Well, thankfully, the best defense is actually a really powerful and, I think, a pretty elegant idea.
The number one best practice defense is to use something called parameterized queries. And the idea behind it is incredibly simple. You have to always keep the command, the SQL instruction, totally separate from the data that the user gives you. The two should never, ever touch.
And this right here shows you exactly what that looks like. On the left, you've got the vulnerable code. You can see how the user's input is just smashed together with the command. The database can't tell what's a trusted instruction and what's potentially dangerous data. But now look at the right side, the secure code. The command is sent first with a little placeholder. Then the user's input is sent completely separately. The database is told from the very beginning, hey, this thing I'm sending you, it's just data. Don't ever try to run it as a command. And just like that, the door is locked.
And this all boils down to one golden rule for every single developer out there. The structure of your query has to be fixed. It has to be a constant. You never ever build a command by mixing it with data that came from a user. If you follow that one rule, you eliminate almost all of these vulnerabilities.
Think about it. Every single day, your personal information is passing through dozens, maybe even hundreds of different applications. We've just seen how absolutely critical it is for developers to get this one thing right. And that leaves all of us with a really big, kind of unsettling question. Of all those